You must have heard about the Domestic Violence Act. A woman who files a complaint in a court of law against her husband under the Domestic Violence Act must know two things. The first is, what is domestic violence? And the second is, what protections or what remedies can she seek from the court? That is, what will the court do to address her problem? So, firstly, let's look at what is domestic violence. Domestic violence under law has been categorized into various kinds of violence. First of all, we have physical violence. Physical violence is a situation where any conduct or act of the husband is of such a nature as to cause bodily harm or injury. It includes impairing the health of the wife, and it would also include any kind of assault, criminal intimidation, criminal force, like kicking, slapping, beating, punching, throwing objects, damaging of the property, abandoning the wife, say, in an unsecure place, in a dangerous place, using of weapons to threaten her, using any other physical force on the woman, on the wife. The second type is the verbal or the emotional abuse. This includes insults, ridicule, humiliation, name calling, insults such as that she cannot have a male child or she cannot do something, repeated threats of physical pain to her family members, demanding of dowry, threatening to throw her out of the house, isolating her, trying to control her on an everyday basis. All of this is a violence of its own kind. Then we have the sexual abuse, when she is forced into unwanted or degrading activities, hurting her with objects during sexual intercourse, or filming her, or distributing her videos, or threatening to bring other women into the house, and so on. This is sexual violence or abuse. Then we come to the economic abuse. Economic abuse is when a man neglects to maintain his wife, maintain his children. He does not provide her any money or very less money for food, clothing, shelter, basic expenses, not returning her stridhan or her jewelry or any other amount. Basically, he deprives her of monetary or economic resources, selling her movable property, selling her immovable property, trying to force her out of the house. All of this is economic abuse. What reliefs can she seek from the court? She can get a protection order from the court against her husband if there is a threat of violence from her husband's side or from the side of his family members. Similarly, the husband will be stopped from committing violence. He will be stopped from entering the place of employment of the woman, the school of the children, and so will be the order passed against his family members. She can also ask the court to stop him from alienating any assets like, joint bank accounts, bank lockers, which were used or held or enjoyed by both she and her husband jointly. Then residence orders can be passed. In this, the woman can get the right to live in the same house which she was living earlier. She cannot be thrown out of the house by the husband or the in-laws. Similarly, she can ask the court that the husband provide her with a similar or an alternative accommodation as she had been living in earlier. She can ask for maintenance or monetary relief. Under this act, the wife can ask for maintenance for herself and for her child, for everyday expenses, for medical expenses, etc. She can get custody orders, that is, the grant of temporary custody of the child or the children can be given to the wife. Similarly, she can ask for compensation orders. Compensation orders would be compensation which can be given to her in addition to the maintenance orders. That is, by an application to the magistrate by the wife, he can pass an order for any kind of harassment which has taken place to her, mental harassment or physical harassment, or any damages or injuries which she has occurred from the side of the husband, like mental torture, etc. She can ask for compensation for the same from the court.